Good morning, everyone. Welcome to my semi podcast slash vlog slash ranting session. I'm Krista. This is Mother of Migraines. Um, Usually, I speak about my daily highs and lows, so I like to validate all of my feelings and not squish them down with toxic positivity and not validate the very real feelings that I have. So that's a message I like to share with people. I think it's important that, as humans, we learn how to manage our difficult emotions. And part of that is validating them. Um, so this morning, I am re recording a video. I recorded a video yesterday and spoke about things without thinking at all about YouTube's guidelines. It just wasn't thinking. I don't know why. I didn't add a warning message. I didn't, say the words in a different way or whatever. I just flat out spoke about things that YouTube isn't a fan of. So I'm going to try to do something again without saying those words and hopefully not get taken down. They are still reviewing it. I'm not sure if I'm going to get a strike or what the deal is, but I apologize for that. I feel very, very bad. Um, so what I spoke about yesterday is um, the loss of my dog, Otis. Last I was on here, I did speak a bit about how he wasn't quite feeling well. He just didn't seem right, and then I wasn't sure if he just had like a stomach bug, or it's been incredibly hot, so I didn't know if that was just affecting him. But then, in that last couple of days, it became very evident something was very wrong. The morning I ended up being able to get him into a vet. Um, his gums were white and stomach was distended. He was breathing very heavy. Um, so I had to pick up his big body and put it in the car and bring him to the vet. I was incredibly blessed. I called multiple vets who didn't have any emergency appointments until like a week out. And I was like, I don't think he's gonna make a week out like this. This is not okay. And so the vet that I ended up calling just said, bring him in, no appointment necessary, just come. So we came. They brought him right in. They did an ultrasound instead of an X-ray because it was less expensive because my life, my life is limited very much by money, and that's okay. It is the way it is. I'm definitely not alone in that situation. I have two other family members who are also on disability and get fixed income, and I just don't know how they do it. I just don't know. So I'm gonna have to speak with them a little. I know they do get a little bit more help with rent and other things like that, which I am looking into getting help with rent, or at least the very least utilities and whatnot. But anyway, off the topic. So they brought my Otis in, did his ultrasound, and she came in and just gave it to me, straight. She's like, it's not good news. He has tumors all over his liver and his spleen. He has at least one on his heart that we could see. Um, they were more, they were concerned about it all, but they were more concerned about the heart one having, just stopping his heart. His pericardium was filled with fluid. His abdomen was filled with fluid, and so I decided selfishly, kind of, she was okay with it. She gave him some Lasix for just to try to get him through until the next morning. I just wanted to bring him home. I wanted him to have, um, I wanted to spoil him, is really what it was. I got him a Burger King burger, pup cups, let him play with every toy he wanted to play with. I separated him from Scooby's antics. I let him play with Scooby for a little bit because Scooby also needed to be able to spend some time with him. So when we brought him in the next morning, I brought Scooby with us. And they were, again, very wonderful. They said I didn't need an appointment. I just, whenever I was ready, I could just bring him in and they would take him in. And that's what they did. And it was great. Scooby sat up on the table with him most of the time. After they gave him the twilight medicine, the medicine that helps calm him, Scooby laid on top of him. And then when they gave him the other meds, Scooby was laying on him, and when he stopped breathing, Scooby went over and licked his face, and you know, I lost it. I cried. He was just a special soul. He touched a lot of people, and no one more than me. Anyway, I thanked him for being, you know, an amazing dog, an amazing friend, an amazing big brother to Scooby, and amazing family to my children. Oh, I told myself I wasn't going to do this. So, okay, so let's move on so I don't keep crying, because that will just become, I won't become unintelligible once I start crying really too difficult, too hard. So, I do have tissues right here, so just in case I knew it was likely I would at the very least get a little bit of crying in. Anyway, so obviously losing my dog is my low. It's very difficult. It's still very difficult. The house feels a little empty. When I try to walk Scooby, I can't go past certain places where I know there are families who love him there, and you know, who would ask where he is, and I'm just not ready to really speak about that individually with people other than, you know, like my parents. Or I did post it on my neighborhood website, and I did get a lot of love from there, and some of those people were the houses that I passed, so I know that I won't necessarily have to go through the whole thing again, but I'm sure there's curiosity about what really happened, because I didn't really go into all the details. But anyway, I'm sure that will work itself out. You know, the neighborhood is big enough to go in different directions. I'm a creature of habit when it comes to that. Sorry. Morning coffee. I'm thankful. I know Ray Dunn is so, you know, last year or whatever, but I like the ginormous cups. They're the perfect size for the perfect amount of coffee. But anyway, so some of the highs, at least, involving the Otis thing for me, is that he was loved. He knew he was loved. He loved us. It was evident that he loved us. And I'm incredibly grateful for that. I'm incredibly grateful I was able to adopt him and save him from the situation that he was in, and then watch him flourish from there. Like, he was a very insecure, scared dog when we first got him. It took a good 6 months before he would leave my side or go outside without me. Um, and then slowly I started to sort of walk inside when he wasn't noticing, and I wouldn't leave too far. I would stay so that he would know where I was. Eventually I did not need to go out with him anymore, and that was amazing. And then um, we did other cool things. We drove to Maine a bunch of times, and he loves it there. He loves the ocean. He doesn't like to swim in the ocean, which I guess is okay. But he loves to watch it and sit in the sand and just enjoy the beach and the rocks in which the house is on, and he would sit on them always. Like our morning coffee was sitting on the rocks and listening to the waves, and that's where I picture him to be with with Jaina and any other dog that I've loved in my life, any other animal I've loved in my life is there waiting to greet him and to look at the ocean with him and help him. So, which is weird for me. I don't really generally go into any sort of afterlife situation. Um, it's not a very strong part of my belief system, um, but in this case, it's helping. So there's that. Also, again, I cannot, um, I cannot express the feelings and the gratitude that I have for the vet um, where I went. Um, as some of you probably know, dealing with an animal after he has passed is a financial decision, and that's difficult for me. Um, I just feel like, of course, I want my dog. I want my ashes. I know there's nobody in there. He's not in the ashes anymore. His spirit is gone, but there's something about having them. But anyway, I couldn't afford that option, so I had to just have him cremated, and they were gonna spread his ashes in a community area, and I went through the, trying to mediate those feelings for myself as well, that okay, he'll be with a bunch of different animals and that will be okay. And then my mother and I were sitting in the car, sort of still pulling ourselves together. And one of the vet techs or nurse, I'm not 100% sure her position. I don't want to say something that is less than what she deserves. So, my guardian angel is what I'm calling her. She came outside. Her eyes were filled with tears, which to me is a sign of an incredible animal caregiver that, they see how much you care, and they automatically care about that animal because you cared so much, or whatever the situation. So she came out in tears and she said, she had a phone in her hand, and I'm like, what is happening? And she goes, if you could have his ashes, would you want them? And I was like, of course, absolutely, I would want them, but I just can't afford them. And she goes, well, listen, I've spoken to corporate or management or whatever she said, and they've agreed to let you have them for no cost. So, so yesterday I went and I picked up Otis's ashes, and they were just beautiful in a blue gift bag with blue velvet bag on the inside that had the wooden, a beautiful wooden box in which his ashes were in, and a little, a little name tag that can go on it, and um, I'm just incredibly grateful. His ashes are sitting on top of Jana's ashes now, and um, yeah, I don't know. When I was younger, I used to always think, that's crazy. Why do people do that? It just helps, and there's no real rhyme or reason to it. Like I said, I know his soul isn't in there anymore, and it's really just a bag of, you know, cremated remains. But it's what I have, and it does make me feel better. No rhyme, no reason, like I said. But so most of that is ups. Yes, of course, I sounded sad and I cried a little bit, but very grateful for them. I couldn't speak more about them. Um, and I don't really, I mean, I would love to shout them out, but it sort of um, pins down where I am a little. I do speak about being in Florida, but Florida's huge, so I don't want to, I don't really want to pinpoint where I am in Florida. So anyway, this particular vet was just wonderful, and I'm very glad to have found them. So a couple of ups or shout outs or whatever you want to call them to my parents. My mother drove me there. My mother is very good at holding it together in difficult times. I can be when it's for other people, but when it's for me, I don't necessarily do that. Um, Other people, I'm like, okay, this is what we got to do. Like I could work for FEMA. I'm very much together, but when it's myself, I just my feelings sort of overtake me, and at the time I had I don't know a 2 week migraine where my brain just doesn't function, and I can't use my tools to manage my emotions effectively anyway. So she's the one that suggested that we bring Scooby, and I'm incredibly grateful for that. Scooby's not looking for Otis in the house. Scooby knows that Otis is gone. He is sad. He has his moments. Right now, he's sleeping in a little spot where where Otis used to be, and he'll roll around in Otis's bed to get his scent, and he just gets sad. You can tell he's sad. And that's good. We're grieving together, and grief is awful and terrible and painful, but it also is wonderful and joyous um, and just filled with love. I mean, grief is having love and nowhere to put it. Is someone has said it, and I'm sure I misquoted it, but that's exactly what it is. I have all this love that I would normally be giving to him, and he's not there, and I can't give it to him. So yeah, I'm grieving him. Um, but I'm blessed and I'm grateful to be grieving him. I'm blessed and grateful to have had a dog that I love, that I was able to save and that loved me, and yeah, so that's enough for me. Grief is a two-sided coin for sure. Um, so sort of sidestepping a little bit about um, speaking my truth. And so generally in public, or even with my parents sometimes, and I minimize things for my kids. I don't want my kids to worry. But I think it is incredibly important for people, all people really, to have a support system, to have someone who you can just, you know, unedited, just vomit your feelings to, and have that person just go, that sucks. I love you. I understand. Um, and I do have those people, and I don't know what I would do without them. I really don't. So part of why I do this, um, even though I do have to edit somewhat, just obviously for YouTube's guidelines, which I learned the hard way yesterday. Um, to speak about slower slide ideations, or um, trauma in any sense, or any of that is very difficult to speak about here. But I want you to know that I have experience with all of those things, along with addiction and, um, you name it, all the letters. I got all the letters. um, and if I don't have what you have, but we share symptoms, or we share just emotions about what we have, that's incredibly important to me. And I think to you, I think people feel alone. I think people don't understand that they're not alone, that there's a million of us out here who are struggling with the same things, with pain, with, fatigue and nausea, and body pain in all areas of your body, and not being able to move on certain days. And, um, these are just some of the things. Medical gaslighting, um, you know, minimization of access to actual pain management. Um, I spent a couple of years where my headache specialist, who I adored and trusted with all of my life, because he was the first headache specialist I had gone to, who never said, well, we've reached the end of the line and I've used everything I know what to use, and you're shit out of luck, kid. Like, no more choices. He always had another plan. There was always another plan. He's very data driven, which I appreciate as a science major. I appreciate data. I appreciate, peer-reviewed articles. I appreciate. I try to do as much research as I can about my own symptoms, about my own illness. Generally, things that I know to be true, not things that I think I have. Things that I know I have. I will read peer-reviewed articles about. And there's always the majority of people respond to this. There's a small amount of people who don't respond to this. There's a smaller amount of people who don't respond to anything, and that's me so far. Botox does eventually give me, it doesn't take away migraine days. Nothing yet has taken away migraine days, but it can break up the intensity of the days. I can have days where my pain level is 6 or lower, or usually 4 to 6. I never am lower than a 4, really, which is not at all unmanageable. A 4 is totally manageable. 6, 6 gets me anxious that I'm starting to get higher and it's going to get worse, but I can manage 6 as well. So for me, that's my experience. All the new medications, the Emgality, the Vyepti, and all that stuff, that's had wonderful results for a certain subsection of people. I have not had that reaction. I have not had that benefit from those, unfortunately. So we're still working on it, and I'm a work in progress. I try to advocate for myself when I'm at the hospital and let them know that I'm like the 1% of the 1%. Like I don't react the same way as everyone else on certain things, and the regular cocktail in the ER is helps my body pain a bit, like, because I get a steroid and I get a NSAID. I can't take NSAIDs through my stomach, but I can get injections of NSAIDs, and so those help with, the body pain and some of the neck pain. But this does not change. So it's difficult to advocate for myself, and I did have someone recently tell me that the doctors don't think that you're drug seeking. You're not in here every day or every week asking for pain medicine. Like, you're in here, you're in obvious pain. You have documented years of unbearable pain, so we know you're in pain. Doctors, because of the new guidelines that have been put in place for a very good reason, because opioid addiction is just completely out of control. Especially after the I can't think of the word, oxycodone thing, and now the fentanyl thing, and so I understand why doctors are hesitant. But so who I spoke to said every doctor has to justify you. They have to justify why they're giving you pain. And because in general, so not everyone, but in general, using narcotics to treat migraines is not recommended. For a small subset of people, it is the only thing that works. I am one of those people. But it's difficult for them to justify it for me. So I get that. I'm as patient as I can be about that. I've been in Florida since almost a year. At the end of this month, it will be a year. I still have not found a pain management specialist who will write for me, even though my new neurologist, who is, again, wonderful, love him. I've never had a doctor just say, it was like this long sheet of paper, and it was basically every medication you could think of that people have generally tried to give people with migraine, from the antidepressants and blood pressure medications, blah, 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 all these different medications, triptans, all that. So there's a whole list of those, and I was like, circle, circle, circle. Yes, I've tried everything. There's a funny video my mom sent me years ago of, and I'm not sure if this is what they actually do. This is not a judgment if this is what they do, because who knows, it might work. I don't know. I'm not judgmental about any of it. I've tried Chinese medicine and acupuncture, and I've tried everything basically possible to me. I'm going to shut my door. Sorry, my Rhonda Roomba started, and she can be a little bit loud. Yes, I name my inanimate objects that are robot-like. So anyway, so I've been living this year for the most part without any pain medication. Sometimes when I do go to the hospital, they do treat it that way, and it does help, and I get relief. And let me tell you, when I go, I have no hope that they're going to break it. No, that's not true. One time. And out of that, I have no idea how many times I've been to the hospital with a headache. And normally it's like, I get to the point where, I've had it for 2 weeks. I no longer can manage. I need to go get help. I don't love to go to the hospital. That in and of itself causes me a lot of anxiety. So, I generally have to wait a couple of days of working up my courage to get there so that I can um, advocate for myself in a way that um, may be reasonable to the doctor. I'm not drug seeking. I'm not here. I don't want you to give me a big prescription. I don't want, this is what I need. This is what works. It's in my chart. My neurologist has put it in my chart. My primary care doctor has put it in my chart. So it's not something that's not documented, I guess is what I'm saying. Um, and some of them still don't give it to me, and that's fine. They can't justify it that day or something. I don't know. But I was saying that, it's broken my headache once. It doesn't break. It does lessen the pain. It does allow me to sleep for a little while. Because, the 2 nights, so the night before I went to the hospital, I slept 2 hours. I did nap, I guess. I don't remember any of the day that I was in the hospital because I was having stroke-like symptoms. I had weakness on my left side, and I was not speaking coherently, and I could not see clearly. I was incredibly dizzy when I got there. So, they rushed me in and they did all the stroke things. Got all the MRIs and the CAT scans and the x-rays and the blood tests and all the stuff to make sure I wasn't having a stroke, which I get. I personally knew I was having a migraine, and that, just only because I've had these awkward symptoms a few times. I've had full body tremors to the point where I can't really walk. I've had, like a thunderclap migraine came on, boom, really fast, which is not generally how it happens. And then my entire right side gets, not unusably numb, but I get the tingly. It feels different when you touch it. It's, when you get Novocaine in your face and it starts to dissipate a little, but your face still feels like you can feel it when you touch it, but it still feels really weird. That's how the whole right side of my body feels. And so that's how my whole left side of my body felt the other day, which was new. So that was another reason why they treated it. And I had weakness, which I don't normally have weakness on the side of having the numbness. So anyway, after hours and hours and hours and hours of being down there and being tested and waiting for test results and all that, they decided to admit me. I was given pain medicine during the night. I still could not sleep. At 4 a.m., my nurse offered me my sleeping medication, and it happened to be at the same time as another dose of my pain medicine. So I had both. She was obviously monitoring me. I had a halter thing on, so that, in case my blood pressure or anything, heart rate or anything dropped too low. But I didn't sleep. I still didn't sleep. And she's like, "You're in pain." And I said, "Yeah, I'm in pain. I cover it well. I don't look amazing. Most importantly, I don't look okay." um, not at all valid, not at all relevant or important. But anyway, I don't look like I feel well when I don't feel well. I don't look like I feel well right now. I know I don't. My eyes are puffy. I am feeling better. Like I said, this migraine is breaking up. I'm starting a prednisone taper today, and that should help as well. Very least it will help with the body stuff. So yeah, these are my experiences. Um, I present like I'm acting normal, but I am not. I've had migraines since I was 13, but I've had them like this daily. I've had a headache every single day. Maybe not a continuous one like the one I've had the last couple of weeks where there's been no breaks, but I have had at least some level of migraine every single day for the last 15 years. So I've learned coping mechanisms. I've learned to mask my symptoms so that I appear somewhat normal. Um, yeah. So I know there are more out there like me who, um, say I have a 10 at the ER and they're looking at me like, there's no way you have a 10. There's no way you have a 10 on the pain scale. Really? I've had 3 kids and this is way worse. I just can't scream out loud about it. I just can't. That makes my head hurt worse. If I cry, it makes my head hurt worse. So there's things I have to learn how to internally manage this pain, and wait for it to end. And, sometimes, yes, I do get afraid that it's not going to end. I'm not going to get a break. There's people in some of the groups that I follow who have had um, one continuous migraine for many years, and that terrifies me. Um, but if it's gonna happen to anybody, it's gonna happen to me because I'm getting all these different weird migraine things, like the stroke thing, whatever. Like I wasn't getting those before. Um, but anyway, um, oh, and then I guess my blood work, the nurse from the stroke unit in the ER came up right before I left. I was very happy she caught me and told me that my B12 level was really low, which, as far as I check my blood work myself when I get it, usually just so I can, um, ask questions if something is a little bit low or a little bit high. Like, is that something I should be worried about? Is it some sort of precondition? Anything, because not all ER doctors look at everything and go, oh, like they're looking for certain things that are causing what's happening to you. And the B12 thing just happened to fly under the radar. But anyway, my B12 was incredibly low. I got a shot. Now I'm taking B12 every day, following up with my doctor on Monday. But B12 deficiency can cause a lot of the strange symptoms I was having that day, including the numbness and weakness, uh, fatigue, dizziness. Uh, these are just coming off my head. I'm sure there's more. I mean, I'm not invalidating that I do get those things with migraine as well, but I don't know that when I'm getting those symptoms in the migraine that my B12 is just tanking for no reason or tanking for some unknown reason. So that is an investigative um, process that I look forward to doing. Speaking about with all my doctors, my neurologists especially. Um, so yeah, I spoke mostly about me, but I really did want to reiterate that, yes, I'm doing this for me. I need a place to go and say, hey, this is my life. This is normal for so many people. I am not an outlier. I'm just not. There's people all over the country, all over the world who are suffering from chronic illnesses, um, that make their lives difficult, that make it so they can't work, that make it so they can't do things that they absolutely love. I absolutely love working. I love waitressing. I love teaching. I love, research, scientific research, which is, where I wanted to go with my life. And so again, I read a lot of peer-reviewed articles about that sort of stuff, the stuff that I was interested in like animal behavior, animal um, communication, and not community, but I can't think of the word because brain, but how different generations pass down behaviors and um, like societal, how things sort of, one whale, however long ago, decided, hey, if we blow bubbles underwater, these fish are going to get caught in there. And now a whole bunch of whales do that. And there's whales on the outside of the world who do that. So that cultural transmission is the words I was looking for. I'd find it eventually. But anyway, so that information has been passed on through, the whales' migratory patterns, I would imagine. But still, that's something I haven't researched lately because reading for me is really difficult. I have to listen to books. Reading as my eyes are directly um, directly affecting my head. If I get too much sun in my eyes, if I overstress my eyes by reading, which is very sad. I absolutely adore reading. My kids love to read. They like to tell me what they're reading, and oh, yeah, you really should read this, and yeah, I would love to be able to read that. So right now I'm just listening to one of my favorite series again that I haven't read since the early 90s. And that is Terry Brooks, the Shannara series. Right now I'm reading it's like a pre-series with, where civilization is still happening and sort of how the beginnings of the end of us or the end of how things were or whatever. And I love science fiction. I love fantasy, so it's right in my bag there. So having listened to it before, because I can be listening to it, and I have to be doing something else while I'm listening to it because that helps me focus because that's an ADD thing. And like I said, I got all the letters, OCD, ACD, ADD. Who knows? I'm on the spectrum. I don't know. I have no idea. I'm incredibly awkward. My social, if it's a business interaction where I'm like waitressing or working in a retail store, then I can be very social. I can be very outgoing, very friendly. But I have to recharge. I need my recharge time because I'm introverted at heart. Really, I like to be alone. I like to do my own thing. I like to draw and not give a shit what it looks like, but just draw for the sake of drawing. Same with painting. Like, it's just expressing these emotions that I have on a canvas or a paper, and just not judging it, which I did for so long. I just wanted, part of it. I went to school with a boy. He's a man now. His name is Paul Carrick. I highly recommend you look up his art. He's an incredible illustrator. He's illustrated books and illustrated and written books with his mother is an author, and he's written things like Lovecraft. He's illustrated some Lovecraftian things, and just absolutely amazing artist. And so I was never going to be that good, so I just thought I should never draw. I mean, when we were kids, did we feel that way? Oh, this looks like shit, I'm going to throw it away? No, I drew this picture. This picture kicks ass. It doesn't look like anything, but it kicks ass. And so, yeah, I've taken on that childlike, I don't really give a shit. I don't give a shit what it looks like. It's it's my art. It's expressive art. You know, it's not, I'm no Van Gogh. I'm nobody special. But yeah, I enjoy it. It gives me time for my brain to just relax. I'm not watching TV, or I'm not half watching TV because, again, when I'm in pain like this, I can't. My ability to focus is way worse than normal, which is, I got laundry basket in the bathroom. I got clean laundry on top of the dryer. I got dirty laundry in my other bath. Like, my house is just completely, I started doing something, and then, you know, something else happened. I don't know what else happened. Something that I thought was important. And it could have been simple as, like, I was moving something from this bathroom to another place and then completely forgot what I was doing before then, which happens all the time. It's just crazy. But I choose not to treat my ADD at the moment. I don't really, it's not a it's not a priority. I don't have a job. I'm not in school anymore. Like, um, I need it for those things. I need it to be able to focus on, um, and organize, especially. Um, I can organize. I can't organize right now. I can write things out in an organized fashion, but I don't put it anywhere, and that makes sense so that I can find it and remember what, why I organized it that way or whatever. Anyway, I'm a mess. But regardless of all of that mess, my goal is not just to validate all of this, all of the feelings that I'm feeling, all of the pain and the fear. Um, Lately, I've felt like there's an elephant sitting on my chest. I don't like to talk politics. I really don't. Um, this is the only political thing I probably will ever say, and I think I said it in another video. I have extreme financial and healthcare I can't think of the word, fear, I guess. I have doctors who won't take my medicine, my Medicaid, um, because they don't know what's happening with Medicaid. They don't know if it's still going to be a thing by the time I have an appointment with them. And insecurity, that's the word I was looking for. Financial and health insecurity. See, sometimes it comes back around. It loops around in there. So yeah, I wake up afraid I'm going to lose my money. I make less than $1,000 a month to live on, which is just inhumane, really. I don't know how anybody lives on it. I really don't. So yeah, I don't know what the point of that was, but the insecurity of it, the health insurance, where was I going with it? Anyway, I don't know. I guess it doesn't matter. I said what I need to say about it. Oh, the anxiety of, yes, waking up every morning like I have an elephant on my chest. And that is a bigger reason why. I'm not sure. Some programs that aren't funded by the government, that are privately funded, or they have, fundraisers for, are completely swamped by the people like me who are afraid we're going to lose our benefits, or we're afraid we're going to lose uh, our ability to live in our homes, or we're going to become homeless, or so yeah, a lot of those companies and charities are overwhelmed. So please, if you can, I'm not going to link anything here because there's too many to name. Find the one that makes you comfortable, and if you can, share a little money with them to help us, because It's not just me. I mean, I am broke. I'm a broke ass bitch. I said this morning, I am a broke ass bitch. But I have leftover dog food from my dog, so I've bagged it up in Ziploc baggies, and I'm gonna drive around where I know there's some homeless people with dogs, and I'm gonna give them some dog food because you know what? I feel like the people who don't have much care more about the people who don't have much. It just kills me. Just kills me. There's people who are rich enough to feed all of those people and their dogs and home those people and not even put a dent in how much money they have. And that's just disgusting. It's disgusting. You know, I've always been a believer that, you make your money, you make your way and all that. But I also believe in we are a community and, you know, 200 years ago, a small town, those people didn't let people just, fall off the face of the earth. Those people took care of each other. It was a community. It was people who loved each other. They didn't have to like you. Nobody has to like you. I don't care if you like me. It doesn't matter. I'm a human being and the people on the streets that are homeless, they are human beings. And they don't get treated that way. They're not choosing to be out there. Some of them are very mentally ill, very steeped in addiction, very poor, unable to manage money, and they are humans. And God forbid you ever end up there and someone like you faces them and looks at them, they're not human because anyway, I can't finish that sentence. Anyway, political rant over. And I don't even feel like it's a political rant. I feel like it's a societal, human rant. Please, please treat humans like humans. How hard is that? I don't know. I don't know. I try to be nice to people who are mean to me. I just don't believe that being an asshole to people who are suffering is acceptable. And that goes the other way around. People who have lots of money, it doesn't mean they're super happy and their lives are super easy. Those people suffer as well, and in different ways. They don't have financial insecurity, but I'm sure they have other things that make them unhappy. And happiness and love and joy is the goal. And boy, did I just sound like a hippie. But whatever, I'm a hippie, I guess. Whatever, label me as you will. This is the longest video I've ever made. It's almost an hour. I did not mean to go this long. Again, I'm a ranter. I rant, I rant, I rant. So if you made it to the end, thank you very much. Please like and subscribe. Please share with people who you think would benefit from this. Please share your comments of your highs and lows, your struggles. You're very welcome to send me a message about, something that you feel like no one else understands. Because let me tell you, if it hasn't happened to me, I know someone it's happened to. I've got experience with the hardships. So please don't feel insecure or please don't judge yourself for your experiences because they're your experiences. They are your very human experiences. And I'm here to validate that for you because I'm here to validate it for me too. So, anyway, I hope you got something out of this. I will try to post as much as possible. I'm considering making some sort of real intro and real outro. I don't really know how to do that. I have this horrible using photo booth, which is awful. So I'm still trying to figure out what's a better way to do that. But anyway, again, I'm not going to keep talking because apparently my coffee is working and I'm just talking to you. But anyway, bye. Have a good day. Happy Mother's Day to all you wonderful, beautiful mothers out there. All right. I'll see you soon. Bye.